Have you ever saved all year for that one family vacation and ended up stressed out about every single dollar?
Not anymore. Hi, I'm Mary Ellen.
And I'm Jo. We're two busy moms who have cracked the code on travel with points and miles.
We're here to show you how we turn everyday expenses into extraordinary vacations.
This is Wonderland on Points, where we share tips and tricks to help you earn free and deeply discounted travel.
Let the adventure begin. Welcome back to Wonderland on Points, presented by Yahoo Travel. We are so glad that you are joining us today. This is a really special episode because we actually have one of our listeners of the show, not a content creator, not a travel, professional, a listener of the show who loves traveling with points and miles, coming on to share how she got her family of 5 business class flights to Singapore. This is super exciting. It's very hard to get a family of 5 in business class, so this was quite the feat. We're going to hear all about it. We have our listener Gretchen with us today. Thank you so much for joining us, Gretchen.
Thank you. Yes, I'm very excited to be here. Big fan of yours. Listen to all the episodes. So yeah, I'm excited to talk about my travels.
This is going to be a great episode because you did this very impressive thing by managing to fly 5 people in business class. That is very difficult to do, but let's rewind a little bit, set the scene for us as far as how you got into points and miles, first of all, and give us the full makeup of who you travel with.
Okay, yeah. So I will say my husband was the guinea pig on this. He's the one that brought it to my attention. We listened, and I didn't even actually remember this. I had to ask him. But we used to listen to the podcast, How I Built This. And one of the episodes we listened to back in 2022 was with the founder of the Points Guy, Brian Kelly. So he was the one. My husband said I listened to this episode, but I honestly don't remember. But he's the one that was like, oh my gosh, listen to this. We got to do this. We're going to get the Capital One Venture X card, and then you're going to get it, and all this stuff. And I was just like, okay, whatever you say. And so I kind of definitely started out as a true player too. Just he told me what to do. He opened the cards and everything. And that was for the first little bit, maybe the first year or so. So that was back in 2022. And then the more we got into it and the more, we took that first trip and I was like, okay, this is really cool. And he has always been kind of the flights person. I have kind of taken on the role of the hotels and just planning the rest of the trip. So he will get us started with, finding the flights. And so he did find this business class flight. I helped him, but I will say he did most of the legwork for this particular flight. So yes, it's myself, my husband, and then we have 3 kids, ages 11, 8, and 5. So yeah, that's our travel family.
I love this teamwork. I'm a little jealous, actually. I wish I had someone who was a little more interested in participating in the planning, but that's amazing. I mean, you can get so much done when you guys are kind of each dividing and conquering in a skill that resonates with you.
For sure, yes. And we both have our skill sets, right? Like I said, he's the flights guy, I'm the hotels, and I'm the one that keeps up with all the extras on the cards every month, the monthly credits and stuff. That is not his territory. So I'm the couponer of the couple here.
That's Gotta awesome. Love an extreme couponer. Yeah. That's all of us.
I know, that really is. We all have a heart for that over here. So set the scene for your trip. What time of year did you guys go? I know that you are based in North Carolina, so you're going from the East Coast all the way to Singapore. Tell us, did you have to reposition somewhere? Kind of give us the basic scene, and then we're going to get into your experience on the flight.
Okay, yes. So we left on January 1st of this year. My kids are in year-round school, so they basically go 9 weeks at a time, and then they have a 3-week break, and then 9 weeks and 3 weeks off, that kind of thing.
I'm always so jealous of year-round school. I love it. I think
absolutely
it's so good for travel.
Yes, we love it. I only have 2 more years of it after this year because once my 11-year-old gets to high school, he'll switch to the traditional calendar. So,
whoa, pause. Your school district has elementary and middle schoolers on a different schedule than high schoolers?
Yeah. So it's a choice. So we have our home-based school, which is right outside of our neighborhood. We walk to it, is a year-round school. So that's where we're districted to. But if we didn't want that schedule, if we didn't want the year-round schedule, we could transfer to what they call a traditional calendar, which is just, a mile or two away. It's not far either.
Fascinating.
But we love, like I said, we love the year-round schedule, so we're sticking with it. But yeah, the disappointing part of that is once high school comes around, they switch to traditional. I think a lot of it has to do with sports and college and that kind of thing. So there's no year-round option
Yeah.
for high school, but we'll just deal with that when it comes. We'll have to
Yes,
rearrange
suck it
our
in while
travel
you've
schedule.
got it.
Yeah, exactly. So
How do the kids feel? I guess since all their friends are probably on the same schedule, they probably don't notice it. But I actually was just recently listening to someone talk about how when he was young, he felt like he missed summer break.
Yeah.
Like he's like, everyone else gets 8 weeks all at one
Right.
time. And here I was have 3 and then going back. Do your kids just, it's what they've always done. So it's what they know.
It is pretty much. Yeah. It's what we've always done. So that's all they know. And honestly, they do better with like the shorter breaks.
Yes.
We usually fill it with some sort of trip, or, just activities around town, that kind of thing. And then they're kind of ready to go back. And it gets so hot here in August. So my kids are off in January, April, July, and October. Those are like their big breaks. By the time August comes around, it is so hot. Like the pools are too hot to even swim in. You don't want to be outside. And so they're actually ready to go back. So yeah, we love it.
I think it's also so good for learning because when you lapse some part of your brain for 8 weeks and then you come back, it's like, I don't even remember any of the things that I learned.
Yeah.
So, I wish we could all just do this. Although, if everybody was on a year-round schedule, I bet you wouldn't be able to find sweet spots for travel with your family the same way because everyone would be clamoring for that same spot.
Correct.
So I guess it's nice for you guys because you can really maximize that time without the chaos of it being everyone else's break.
For sure. Yeah. So
I love this.
Yeah. So this trip was in January and we were, expecting it to be kind of a quieter time of year because not everybody's traveling at the same time. So we left January 1st and we positioned ourselves to Seattle so we could get to the West Coast. And then we flew out from Seattle to Singapore on January 2nd. And I think the other option for the same points was not for like another week. It was like maybe January 8th or something. And I was like, well, no, we're not going to waste a week and, let's just go as soon as we can.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was just a couple dates in that time period that had the sweet spots for the points price and stuff. So yeah, we positioned to Seattle on January 1st, had one full day in Seattle, which turned out to be better than we expected. And then we left for Singapore on the 2nd.
Incredible.
Is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Yes. Makes a big, big difference in the points and miles world if you can be flexible with your dates. Okay, I'm very curious to dig into the flights. Which airline, which currency did you guys know you were saving up for this specific sweet spot deal? Like it was kind of a plan way back. You're like, okay, we know that this route exists at this points price. We're going to save these up and then we're going to go for it. Or did you just happen to come across them and happen to have enough of the right currency sitting there? If you know anything about your husband's process of tracking these down, I want to hear about all of it. I'm so nerdy about this kind of stuff. It's amazing.
Yeah, so we do all the major banks. We've got a couple Amex Platinums, several Chase cards, Chase Business Incs. The Capital One Venture X was each of our first cards. So we have points across the board there. And we knew that there were several ways to get to Singapore or to Thailand. I should back up and say, like, the trip was about Thailand. That was where we spent most of our time. But we knew that there were several routes to get us over there. And my whole thing was just, I really wanted to do it in 2 flights. I didn't want to have to be on 3 different flights to get to Southeast Asia. So that was our number one goal. We knew there was like Singapore Airlines, Cathay Pacific, EVA Airlines. I'm blanking on the other couple, but we did look at all of them. And the other part that I also didn't want was, I think there were several flights to either Hong Kong or Taipei, maybe Tokyo as well. But that was still going to be quite a bit further to get us down to Thailand. So I didn't want to have to get on another 5 or 6 hour flight from there. I wanted to be as close as possible. So when these Singapore Airlines flights came up, because they weren't when we first started looking, we looked, a year out or even a little bit before that. So we can kind of have our eye on what to expect. And they weren't there initially. And then, so we were looking at the other options. We were even looking at splitting up the family because getting 5 people on one flight was not easy.
Yeah.
So
Tough.
some of the other airlines were, they would only release 2 award flights or 3 or something like that. So we considered splitting us up. That would not have been ideal. And then one day my husband was like, okay, Singapore Airlines just dropped their award flights. And he's like, we got some options here and we can all get on the same flight. And so we just jumped on it as soon as we saw it. We're like, okay, let's zero in and book it. So yeah, we were
Heck
able
yes.
to, and actually it ended up that, we used 106,000 points or 100. So the way there, Seattle to Singapore was 108,000 miles per person. And then the way back, we did Singapore to JFK, and that was 106,000 miles per person. So it was,
Did you do business on the way
yes, we
back
did.
too? Wow, you guys, this is epic. But this is a lot of
Yes.
saving involved to get
I will
something
say
like this.
we barely had enough points to do it. I we did. And it only worked because we had points in all the different banks. If we would have only been
Yep.
able to transfer from one of them or even 2 of them, we wouldn't have had enough to do business both ways. So yeah, that's how we made it happen.
Was this your kid's first time in
Yep.
business class?
Yeah.
Oh, did you tell them or was it a
We
surprise?
did, because my husband cannot keep a secret. Now we didn't tell them immediately. Because we booked the flights back in February last year, February and early March. And so we did hold off on telling them about the trip until like Thanksgiving. We wanted it to. We
Oh,
wanted,
wow. That's
yeah,
pretty
it was
long.
a hard secret to keep. But yes, come Thanksgiving, my husband actually put together like a video slideshow kind of thing of like where we were going and what we were
Cute.
doing, and then of course the business class seats and the beds and all of that. So to get them pumped up
I feel
about
like
it.
that's a really good time frame because it gave them time to be looking forward to it. Because half the fun of travel is the anticipation, the looking
Yes.
forward to it. But it wasn't so long. We're trying to do that with my preschooler. In January, we're going to go to Disneyland out in
Yeah.
California. The 2 older kids know about it, but the preschooler doesn't because she doesn't have her mind. Time is still tricky for
Sure.
her. So if she knows about it now, she's going to be asking about it forever. But I think we're going to try to wait until Christmas to tell her because we're like, all right, then she can still anticipate and look forward to it for a couple weeks, but it won't be so overwhelmingly
Yeah.
long. So Thanksgiving was probably a really good time for you guys. And for anyone listening and hoping to do something like this, I'm just going to throw it out there. Generally, a lot of the airlines drop their business class availability. Well, they open up their award bookings about 330 to 360 days out. And it varies by airline. You can Google that information. If there's a specific airline or 2 you think you might fly, figure out exactly how many days out they open their award calendar, because that is going to be your best time of snagging multiple seats. So if you have a family of 5, you really want to be ready just right about a year out, maybe a little less, maybe a little more, depending on the
It sounds like you
airline.
guys were a little under 11 months if it was February or beginning of March booking for the
and
beginning
we
of
were looking a
January.
year out, and every couple days and whatnot. Like I said, we saw other options on other airlines that just weren't as ideal as this one. And so I'm glad we didn't, jump on any of those other ones first and waited for this, because it really worked out to be the best. We also
Patience.
have a direct flight from Raleigh to Seattle. So like that was another,
Oh,
so we got there. I
nice.
mean, this trip, we only had 1 flight per day. So we didn't have to worry about any connections or anything like that. It was well planned, in my opinion.
Beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. And you guys didn't use any tools to set alerts for the flight availability. You just were
I
manually
think my
checking.
husband, so I had not yet started using points or seats.arrow. We originally were using point.me, and so that's the one I had access to. And so I was doing a little bit of it just through that portal, but I want to say my husband did have alerts set up on seats.arrow for this one. Yeah.
Okay. We'll put our link in the show notes for you guys if you want to use that to sign up for the premium version of Seats.Arrow that this allows you to be setting your alerts, looking at the full calendar for the entire availability. It is a really good way if you're looking for something super specific, like 5 seats in business class. That's a really good way to actually try to snag something like that, because this is not an easy thing to replicate. So you really got to have all your irons in the fires to make sure that you can snag something like this.
Now, this is a really long business class flight, and I say that in the best way, because if you're going to splurge on a business class flight, you want to enjoy it for as long as possible. I know some of these flights are up to 16 hours. Not exactly sure how long it was from Seattle, but you really had time to soak it all in. So tell us a little bit about the business class experience on Singapore Airlines.
Yeah. So, yes, the flight from Seattle to Singapore was right around 16 hours. Our flight home was actually Singapore to JFK. That was even longer. That was just under 18 hours. So, that was a long time. But honestly,
Wow.
Not a flight I want to be in economy for.
no. And I have heard and read stories about economy on these flights, and they're rough. So yeah, this one. So we've done Europe several times with the kids and by ourselves. We've done business class to Europe and stuff. And I think this flight was easier, to be honest. Yes, it was long, but it was
Yeah.
so comfortable. The seats were like oversized
Mm.
lazy boy chairs. They were huge, way bigger than we expected, and so comfortable. The interesting thing about these seats were they didn't just recline all the way down to flat. You actually have to get up, and the backrest of the seat folds forward, and your bed is actually on top of that. And the flight attendants come
Oh.
around and they do that for you. You can do it yourself, but if they see you trying to, they're like, no, we'll do it. So they come over and they fold down your bed. They prop all your pillows. They gave us like 3 pillows each, a nice cozy blanket. There were slippers. There
Ooh.
was headphones. I mean, just everything. They did not give amenity kits to everybody, but I had read that you can request them. And so, of course, I did. And I was like, do you have an amenity kit? And they were like, oh, sure. And she brought me like 4 of them. So, got a few little amenity kits for cute. And then, yeah, and then the seat itself had like a lot of storage areas and a huge screen that was like a entertainment, an in-flight entertainment screen. The only weird thing about that was the screen was not touch screen. We kept like wanting to touch it, but it wasn't. It had like a little controller over to the side that you had to use to control
Mm.
it. So, but yeah, that was kind of like the seat layout. And then, like I started to say, the flight attendants were just amazing. The service could not have been better. Especially for the kids, they were constantly checking on the kids, making sure they had everything they needed, bringing them any snacks they wanted, Doritos, M&Ms. They would bring their food first at
That's
dinner
so
servings and stuff.
sweet.
The kids got their food first. They would cut up their food. Yeah. Well, for my
Oh.
5-year-old anyway, they
Didn't you say they were even feeding one of your
yeah,
kids?
yeah. My husband was next to my 5-year-old, and yeah, I think she just saw that my husband was trying to get his food ready, and so she just went over there and she was like, "I'll help you," because my 5-year-old was, of course, trying to like watch TV while he was eating and not really paying attention to his food, and so she was like, "Okay, here you go," and yeah, it was so funny.
My gosh. The more I do this, the more places I go. Great flight attendants make or
They
break the
sure do.
experience. It really does make all the difference. Like, it could be the comfiest seat in the world, but if your flight attendants are a little grumpy, it's like, oh, this is kind of a bummer. So it's really, really encouraging, especially for families, because when you stick your kids in business class, I don't know about you guys, but I assume that there would always be a little bit of this feeling of like, okay, don't do anything that embarrasses me. We don't want to annoy the business
Right.
travelers around us. Let's be really good at that. I mean, you probably have wonderful, great, well-behaved kids, but it's always this feeling of like, are my kids gonna bother people? And when you have flight attendants that are just like pouring into the kids, I can only imagine that makes the experience
Yeah.
so much more
Yeah. It
special.
was truly an easy flight. It was just a lot of relaxing, watching TV, sleeping, eating again, sleeping again, kind of that rotation, like 2 or 3
It's
times of
amazing.
that. And by the time we landed, we truly felt, not like we had a full night's sleep. It wasn't like an 8-hour stretch of sleep by any means, but a lot more well rested than flying to Europe. I mean,
Mm.
It was way easier than that.
Oh, yeah.
How was the menu on the flight? Sometimes I get nervous as a picky eater on some of the international carriers that I'm not going to be able to find something that I can really enjoy, especially with your kids. And part of the business class fun is getting a really elevated dining experience. They bring you lots of good food, but sometimes it can be a little fancy. So, were your kids, did they enjoy the menu? Were there a lot of good
Yeah, there
options for
were.
them?
So my younger two are somewhat picky. They will try things, but they definitely would just prefer a chicken nugget platter or pizza or cheeseburger or something like that. So they actually had kids meals options. So before we left, it was I think a week or two, we were able to go on to our booking and choose our meals. So there was a what Singapore Airlines calls it book the cook. And that is, from my understanding, especially the more I dug into it, they've got like some very elevated meals you can choose from. So like my husband and I and my oldest were eating lobster thermidor and braised duck and beef tenderloin,
Ooh.
salmon, ramen, short ribs, like that kind of stuff. And I believe they don't just have an endless supply of that on the plane though. So they want you to pick it out ahead of time so they know what they need to have. But they also have just a more basic menu too, and they have a kids menu. So the kids were able to have
Mm.
chicken nuggets and pizza and cheeseburger and that kind of stuff. So yeah, there was plenty for the
Awesome.
kids, and then of
It's
course the unlimited amount
perfect.
of snacks.
I love snacks. When we flew with Virgin Atlantic in premium economy, they did a great job with the snacks and they had a whole snack wall. And they came over and they told my daughter and they were like, you can come to the snack wall anytime you want and pick out whatever snacks you want. And I was
Yeah,
like, you guys
yeah,
really get kids. You just do. You
exactly.
know what they want. Okay. Before we move on to Singapore activities, your hotel, all of that, there is a super important cautionary tale that you are going to share with us, and we're really appreciative of you for being willing to be vulnerable about this story in regards to booking your flights and being scammed out of thousands of dollars. So hopefully this will help somebody else who might find themselves in this similar situation. So just go ahead and tell
Yes.
us
So
the whole
we,
story.
like I said earlier, we booked our flights just a little over a year or a little under a year out, I should say. So at the end of February is when we found the flights. Found the flights on, seats.aero, confirmed on Singapore Airlines that they are available, the usual role. So my husband, I think, had heard that you can put flights on hold. I don't know if it was just with Singapore Airlines or which airlines, but yeah, Singapore Airlines. So
Yeah.
he said he was on he gets on Reddit. I don't do anything on Reddit, so I'm not sure, but he found this post on Reddit that gave instructions on how to put your long haul flight on hold so that there's time for the points to transfer, because all the different currencies, some are immediate and some take a couple days, some take up to a week, right, to transfer. So, and we were pulling points from all three. Not only that, but
Mm-hmm.
Amex, you can't share points. So my husband has an Amex and I have an Amex. So what we had to do was he had to book one of the flights. He booked the one to Singapore, and then I booked the return flight. So we were pulling all of our points together for him to book the one way, and then we were pulling them the other direction to for me to book the one way. So that was just another little tricky thing with Amex.
Mm.
But anyhow, he found this thread on Reddit, and then it also included a Singapore Airlines customer service number. So he called the number, and the person he spoke with was named Tyler. And he said, "Oh yes, I can totally help you put your flights on hold." We went through all the steps, and thinking back to it, he definitely asked us for some login information to our accounts that we probably should not have shared. It's one of those where it's like, you're going to get this code and don't share it with anybody.
Yeah.
But we just thought that's what you were supposed to do. We didn't know. So anyway, we move on. The flights are on hold. We move all of our points that we need over. And then he said, once you can see the points in your account, in your Singapore Airlines account, just call me back and I'll get them booked for you. So we did that. And he said, okay, getting them booked right now. And it did take a little time. Like, we were on the phone a lot. And then he's like, well, let me get this fully processed and I'll call you back and this and that. He said, all right, there's going to be two different charges on your card. You're going to have one that is $5.60 a person. and these are for the fuel and airport taxes. And then the other charge is going to be $510 a person. And again, he just said these are for fuel fees and whatnot. And so the prices were somewhat similar for our return flight, at the end. And we were just like, okay, so we paid the fees, flights were booked, moved on to planning the rest of the trip. But in the back of my head, I'm like, something doesn't feel right here. I feel like I've always heard that Singapore Airlines has like, everybody talks about you like booking them through Warp Flights because they're so cheap. They're only $5.60 a ticket. So why are our fees so much? And we're like, well, we are going all the way across the ocean. I mean, maybe the fuel fees really are that much, but it was a couple different outlets that I heard this from over the next, month or two. Some podcasts and stuff, people were saying it. So I said something to my husband and we started looking into it a little further. And what we discovered was who we spoke to was not actually Singapore Airlines. The person that booked our flights and put our flights on hold and all that, it was not Singapore Airlines. It was a company that was posing as them.
All right, guys, we will get right back to the episode, but we want to share one of our absolute favorite travel products with you right now. We both have this. We both purchased it with our own money. First, Mary Ellen got it, and I saw hers, and I was like, what is this magic? And then I bought one. And this is a backpack from Amazon, you guys. And I cannot say enough good things about this backpack. It is the perfect personal item, literally every feature. It fits in an unbelievable amount of stuff. It fits under the seat. I've never had it questioned as my personal item. Tell them more, Mary Ellen. I don't even have words.
Oh, yeah. It's 40 liters, so it holds a ton, although you can get it in several different sizes and styles to fit, whatever size you like. But Joanna and I both have the 40-liter one, and we have found that to be perfect. It has so many well-thought-out pockets. Of course, there's a spot for your computer, but there are pockets all over this thing. And then I love that it has clips on the side, and then it has a zipper that unzips all the way around. So you can open it up like a suitcase. But then for safety, when you're traveling, those clips on the side can be clipped. So it's not like someone can come running up behind you and unzip your book bag very quickly because of the added clips. So I think it's a really secure option for travel. I have found that it's brought me some comfort for being a little bit more secure while still zipping up all the way open like a suitcase.
We both have some pictures and videos on our Instagrams, and please message us if you'd like to see these. And of course, we have a link for you in the show notes because we believe in this bag so much. This is a affiliate link. It does earn us a very small commission, and buying things through our links is a great way to give back to the show. It really helps us, it supports us, and it makes us really excited when we love stuff so much and then you guys end up falling in love with the same things.
Yep, we only share items that we truly do love. And so this backpack, we have different styles because I love that different people can choose a different aesthetic and it looks slightly different while still having all the same great features. So find that link in our show notes. Okay, let's get back to today's episode.
Yeah.
But it was real flights. I mean, they truly
did
did
actually
book your flight.
Book it.
Mm-hmm.
They
so we could go into our Singapore Airlines account. We could see the flights booked. It was all correct, had confirmation numbers, all of that. So what we did first was we reached out to Singapore Airlines and we asked them what their fee was. And they said, and we said, can we get a receipt? And they said, yes, of course. So they sent us a receipt and their receipt showed only $5.60 per person. It did not have the extra $500 and some per person that we had also paid separately. So, we have all of our receipts saved from this Tyler person. We reached back out to him and we're like, hey, can you give us a receipt? And he's like, sure. And it was like a day later, he emailed us a receipt and you could totally tell that it was fabricated. It was not official. And then again, through Reddit, my husband had found, he's like, I think that we might have gotten scammed here. And so at that point we were like, let's get Amex involved. So we called we also had told Singapore Airlines what was going on. And the first thing Singapore Airlines did was they reissued our tickets. So they basically canceled our tickets so that the people that had booked it for us couldn't access them, couldn't do anything. and reissued our
Mm.
ticket numbers and stuff. So that took a few days, but it was just, a precaution. And then Amex, so we booked the flights through Amex
Ooh,
with our Amex Platinum cards because of the 5 times
thank
triple.
goodness.
And we reached out to them and they walked us through opening up a fraud ticket and, collected all the information that we had, all of our communications from Tyler, all the receipts he'd provided with us. And they ended up refunding us $5,105. Yeah.
Thank goodness. Seriously, I love Amex. I
For this kind
feel
of
like
stuff,
their customer
the
service.
best.
Yeah, I mean, I've never had to do like a fraud ticket. Thank goodness for that. But anything that I've ever needed from them, I feel like their customer
Yes.
service and their chat specifically is so incredible. And anytime that I have to talk on the phone to anybody, they're amazing. They're incredibly helpful. I'm so glad that you guys were able to get this money back
Yes.
and keep your tickets.
Yeah, we
That's
were
incredible.
definitely, because it took some time, a few days, a few weeks to get it all ironed out, and like by the time it was over, we were just like, whew. Um, so yeah, we were relieved that we caught it for one, and that Amex was so helpful, and
Yeah.
they took everything we had and they were like gonna do their own investigation.
Reddit can be so helpful, but clearly there are
Correct.
some bad people out there trying to
Yeah.
make scammy things look helpful when they're not. So, ugh, that kind
I
of
I
gives me a
have
heart attack.
always thought in my head when it comes to something really important, I always pull out an Amex card to pay.
Mm.
And because they're so well known for a lot of their consumer protections and in situations like this, it's very encouraging to me. Well, it's helpful to me to know to be careful in the future with that kind of thing. And I hope it helps somebody, prevents other people from falling into that same trap. But it's very encouraging to me. And I'm going to keep largely putting my most important purchases probably on an Amex card because it sounds like they did a really fantastic job and
Mhm.
refunding absolutely all of that to you guys. I'm so thankful that they
Yeah, I
did
mean,
that and
because
you
that
got
was
all
a
your money
huge
back.
chunk of money that we could put towards the rest of the trip. So it was, yeah, for sure.
Wow.
All right. Well, let's move on to something more fun for you to talk about.
Well,
Thank you
yeah,
for
and
sharing that, though.
I
We
was
really
very
do
happy to share it.
appreciate
Like
it.
I
It's
said, I
very
would just
helpful.
love for this not to happen to anybody else. So,
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's talk about once you land in Singapore, you guys stayed at an IHG property. So tell us a little bit about the hotel that you stayed at and then the strategy for you used about 93,000 IHG points for this. Were you able to capitalize on their fourth night free benefit or any specific IHG credit card perks did you guys use?
yeah, I had heard about like Holiday Inns in Asia for several years now about how great they are for families. So when we were planning this trip, I thought about opening it, and what I did, I opened the IHG One Rewards Premier Card, and I think I opened that right around the same time we booked the flights. And at the time there was a 165,000 point bonus if you once you reach the sign on bonus. So that's what we did first. And originally, we had only planned to be in Singapore for like 1 or 2 nights. We thought we'd just land there and get over jet lag and move on to Thailand for the rest of the trip. But once I started researching Singapore, I was like, wow, there is so much here. I think we need to spend a few more days. Then, of course, a few more days turned into, well, if we're going to spend a few more days, we definitely need to use the fourth night free benefit that comes with this card because I knew we were going to book it with the points that we had earned. So, yeah, we ended up booking this particular hotel for 93,000 points. And we were upgraded when we arrived to a king suite, which gave us so much more room and an extra half bathroom. The sleeping situation was interesting with a family of five,
You were in one
but we
room,
made it
right?
work. Well, okay, so it was 2 rooms. You walked in and there was a big living area and a desk area and stuff. The living area had a couch and a chair, but the couch was not a sofa bed couch. It was just a couch. And then in the bedroom, it was a king bed. So, and they told us this when we checked in. I was like, well, is it a sleeper sofa? And they were like, no. And I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, well, let's get up there and check it out and see what we think. And the space was what kept us in the room because 2 separate rooms, and being jet lagged, we knew that we might have a little more time in the room just trying to get our bodies right and stuff. But yeah, we ended up having the 11-year-old on the couch. We took the cushions off the back of the couch and put them on the floor for my 8-year-old. And then the 5-year-old, there was like a bench in the bedroom that had like a cushion on it, and he just slept on that. So,
We get
you know,
creative, us
yes,
families of
exactly.
5 or more.
Exactly.
But they let you book just
Exactly.
one room, right? You were upgraded, but when it came to
Correct.
paying, you just reserved one room.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, we had booked, I think we had booked a 2 queen room is what we originally, but like the standard, what you can book with points.
And were you upgraded because this card comes with status? Which specific IHG card was it?
Correct. Yes, it was the status of the card. This one is the IHG One Rewards Premier card. And the annual fee is $95 a year, but it comes with a reward night every year. So it's one of those
Yeah,
just keeper cards.
for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
for you said 93,000 for four nights, right? So that's like 22, 23 something
Yeah.
thousand a night is what it equals
Yeah.
for 2 bathrooms
Yes.
and a family of 5. That is incredible. Even with the weird sleeping situation. Did they have a rollout that they could bring you if
They
you wanted?
they didn't. We asked for that too, and they said they didn't have them. So,
This is the time for
um,
that camping mat that
oh,
Kelsey told us about.
that is on my Amazon. It's in my Amazon cart. I will be
Yes.
purchasing it for the next trip.
Awesome.
Yeah. So the only other thing at the hotel that they offered as a benefit, I don't think it had anything to do with us having the card. I think it's just a Holiday Inn. The kids eat free is one of the benefits, but we actually didn't use that because the buffet, it was buffet style for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and the prices were anywhere from $25 a person to $60, and that would have been just for the adults, my husband and I. But the food looked like very American, which was appealing to my kids, but I was like, we're in Singapore. We need to eat other
Mm-hmm.
food.
Yeah.
And I knew that we could go out and about and do that for quite a bit cheaper, even with them
Mm-hmm.
being free. I was like, we're not going to be spending $100 on breakfast anyway. So yeah, we didn't actually use that benefit, but yeah, that was an offer. And I think all the Holiday Inns over there have that kids eat free option.
It definitely is a great option for families with picky eaters, especially I don't know if it works like you have to have a free kid for every paying adult, or if like one adult could just get breakfast and 3 kids could eat free.
I I'm not sure about that. I
Mm,
want to say that they told us all 3 of my kids would be free. So even though we would only have had 2 paying adults, I think all 3 of them, it's 12 and under, I know, is the age for
okay.
the free kids, but don't quote me on that. That might not be correct. It might be a 1 adult, 1 kid ratio.
Yeah. Well, anyways, it's just a good option for those of you who want to explore a new culture with your families, but you're worried about what your children will eat. You can just post up at a Holiday Inn and know they can get their American buffets and then go experience everything
Exactly.
besides the food.
Yeah.
Real quick, everybody, we want to remind you that Yahoo Travel is our presenting sponsor. The Why Wonder newsletter, which is written by Joanna and I twice a week. We've been having so much fun with it. We hope that you are enjoying it. We are building it for budget-friendly travelers who care about traveling further for less out of pocket using points and miles. You know that is our whole thing. We want everyday folks to be able to travel more.
Yeah, and we have a spot for everyone on this newsletter. We're going to be pumping out some beginner-friendly stuff, some more high-level stuff, and everything in between. So no matter where you are on your points journey, this is the newsletter for you. We want it to have the same fun vibe as the podcast. It is written in our original voices. It will also include some of the latest developments from Yahoo Travel, and those are things that Wonderland on Points listeners can really benefit from.
So sign up today at travel.yahoo.com, and you can also find the link in our show notes.
Back to the episode.
How did your kids handle the jet lag? Because that is not easy when you go to Asia, and your youngest was just 5 at the time. I don't know. Maybe part of me thinks my youngest would handle it better than me because kids are so resilient and I am less resilient. But did you guys have any trouble with the jet lag, or what are some tips that you guys were able to utilize to manage your jet lag?
Well, you're exactly right. The kids did great with the jet lag, much better than I did. Uh, and yeah, so the first night, even though, we slept decently well on the plane, everybody's still tired. And so we all slept great the first night. And then the next couple nights after that, we were all like wide awake at 2, 3 in the morning. And we just tried to like stay resting, read, tried not to do screens too much that, first thing. But just lay in your bed, try to close your eyes, just rest. And just let your body rest until the sun came up, at least before we got up and started being active. So we did give them melatonin. We gave them melatonin on the plane, and then we gave them melatonin the first couple nights. My husband and I took it too, just to help our, circadian rhythm try to get in line with the 13, because it was a 13-hour time change there from East Coast to Singapore
Oh
at
boy.
that time of year. So yeah, it was, we were turned around for sure, but it wasn't too terrible. Yeah, it was not fun, but it went better than I expected.
It's not a
And the
reason
five,
not to go.
Mm.
no, definitely not. And the 5-year-old did great. He is actually my just go with the flow, easiest traveler. He's not old enough yet to be giving attitude and opinions about stuff. So
We love third
he's
children for
he's
that.
the easy one. Yeah. So yeah, something you got to fight through. And it was similar on the return back home. We got home and we had a few days of just like, ugh, but yeah, you just power through it.
That's right. That's right. Okay, let's get into some of your favorite activities. I'm especially excited about this one as a massive Jurassic Park fan. You visited a place called Gardens by the Bay, and it sounds incredible, and I would like you to tell everybody about it.
Yeah. So this is an area. Oh gosh, I can't even tell you what side of Singapore it's on. It's definitely on the coast. It's Gardens by the Bay is a park. It's right along the water, and it's known for their 16-story what they call super tree grove. And you've probably seen pictures of these super trees. They're very like futuristic looking and stuff. And they do a like musical light show every single day at night with these trees. And we tried so hard. This was like one of my top things I wanted to do in Singapore. And we tried so hard to get out there for for this light show. And we were just too tired. The jet lag just
I
Oh,
feel
kept it
you.
from us. The last night in Singapore, I was like so determined because we couldn't do it the first 2 days. And I was like, guys, we're going to do it. I'm going to keep you moving. We took like a good break in the afternoon. And then at dinner, they were like melting. The kids were just melting. And my husband's like, are we really going to drag them back out there for this show? And I was like, but I want to see it.
you're like, I'm going by myself.
I know.
Bye.
I should have just gone by myself. But anyway, maybe next time. So yeah, so that's the Gardens by the Bay area. And then they have a lot of attractions there. There's what they call a cloud forest. And that we did go into this. It's an all glass conservatory and it has a huge indoor waterfall, like right when you walk in. It's just like striking. Kids loved it. This is where the Jurassic Park animals were. So I believe that it was like I think they changed the exhibits out in this place. I don't know how often, but while we were there, it was the Jurassic World theme. So they had all the
Mm.
animatronic dinosaurs that moved and made noise and whatnot. So the kids loved that. So we spent about an hour and a half in there. They had these aerial paths that walked all the way up through, all the way to like the top of the uh, waterfall and the treetops, and you could just see from all different angles. And you could see the super trees from inside there too. And it was just a fun little way to spend the afternoon. The tickets for that were about $20 for the adult for my husband and I, and then 17 for the kids.
That's not bad.
So yeah, that was part of Gardens by the Bay. And then also out there they have, as in the name Gardens by the Bay, there's a bunch of just beautiful gardens, beautiful flowers,
Mm.
and there was a large splash pad area that had the kids bring their bathing suits and they spent some time splashing in the water. And then they had tree houses that the kids could climb and explore. So we did that after the cloud forest for a bit. And
Sounds so
yeah.
fun.
I
Mhm.
love when a botanical garden does a good job incorporating children into it.
Yeah.
Because as much as I want to say that all the kids I've ever worked with and my own child love to just wander a garden, they don't. They don't understand the
Well,
magic.
yeah, and they like it for 2 minutes and then they're like, all right, what's next?
Exactly. This is boring.
Yeah, so it was good to have some other options there in that area. And then I also want to mention that right there next to Gardens by the Bay is a place called Marina Bay Sands. And this is a resort that you may or may not have seen pictures of it. but it's like a 57-story resort that has a hotel, a casino, there's an entertainment area,
Wow.
restaurants, there's a mall in there. And what's cool about it is it's three different buildings that are all that same height. And then on top of the buildings, across all three buildings is like, it looks like a boat going across the buildings. And on top, and of course, there's something up there on the boat. It's called a sky park rooftop. And there's an infinity pool up
Whoa.
there and an observation deck. I really wanted to go up there, but I got outvoted. Because I think it's more of an adult kind of place. Like you can definitely take kids up there, but I don't think there would be much for them to do.
Mm.
And there's like a fancy restaurant and stuff like that. So, and you have to pay to go up there. So I got outvoted. My husband was like, I don't think the kids are going to like this. And then whatever. So we didn't get to go to the top, but you certainly can. And maybe I will next time. But that was really cool to see too.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Now, the next day of your trip, you visited the southernmost point in Asia that included some World War II history. I think I would have really enjoyed this. And a cable car ride, a suspension bridge. Everything about that sounds really incredible. So is that something that your whole family enjoyed that you recommend to others?
We did. Yeah. So this is on Sentosa Island. You take the monorail to get out there, and we ventured over there and didn't have we knew kind of a few things that were out there, but we didn't have a game plan really of what we're going to do. We were just like, let's get out there and kind of decide. But our first stop was the beach, and the beach that we went to was called Palawan Beach. And it was tucked into like a little cove. So the water was like very calm and, somewhat warm, not, very, very good for swimming. So the kids spent some time swimming in there. Then we kept walking down the beach to see what else there was. And we stumbled upon a World War II era pillbox that my history loving husband thought was really cool. So
That's
yeah,
awesome.
he just took pictures of it and couldn't get over that. Like it was just there. And then we ventured further down the beach and we saw this suspension bridge and we're like, oh, well, let's just take this bridge, see what's on this little inlet or whatever. And once we got across the bridge, we saw a sign that said southernmost point of continental Asia. And we're like, well, how cool is that? So that was
I
That
love
just,
that
is, you just
yeah,
stumbled
just
across it.
yeah. So of course got a picture with the kids in front of that sign. And we did our own little research when we got over there because it was just like a little mini island type place. And there was some structures that you could climb up and kind of have a great view of the ocean and all the ships that were out there. And we saw land across the way. And I asked my husband, I was like, what do you think that land is? And of course he starts looking it up and he's like, it looks like that's Indonesia over there. And so
Wow.
that was just another cool discovery too. We're like, oh, who would have known we'd be able to see it from here. So yeah, so that was the first part of the day. And then Sentosa Island also has like a shuttle a couple different shuttles actually. There's like a beach shuttle and then there's some other ones because it's a fairly big island. In fact, Universal Studios is out there on this island as well. And we didn't go to it, but we wanted to do the cable car ride. So after the beach portion of the trip of the day, we went and hopped on the shuttle and it took us down to the cable car. And then we got to ride that kind of across the island. And, cable cars are just fun you get such great views of the skyline and harbor up there. So that was neat. And yeah, so we actually ended up staying in Sentosa Island on our very last night after visiting Singapore or after visiting Thailand. I mean, we had to position ourselves back to Singapore to get home. So we went to a different part of the island on our way back. And this is another great points play. We had a free night at a free Marriott night award. And so we stayed at the W Marriott, which is maybe the fanciest hotel my family's ever stayed at.
Wow.
And we got upgraded there for being a Marriott, having the Marriott card. And again, had a amazing corner suite, views of the harbor, wraparound balcony. This time they did give us a rollaway bed, so that was helpful.
Yes.
And yeah, a little bit more comfortable to sleep in. But the kids were like, why can't we stay here the whole time?
And you were able to do that. Did you have to top off your free night or it just covered it?
This was so I'll back up and explain why we have the Marriott card. So when Capital One announced last year they were going to get rid of the lounge access for families, that is like that's why we have these cards. We had heard that the Ritz-Carlton card would
Yes.
Yep.
be a great upgrade. And then, but you can't, of course, open that right now. So you have to get
Mhm.
the Marriott Bonvoy first, hold it a year, and then upgrade. So
Yes.
last summer is when we decided to get that Marriott award or Marriott Bonvoy card. So we got that, and it came with 5 Marriott free nights. So we had used
Wow.
them for some other things, and I just had not booked our one night hotel for the end of the trip until, oh gosh, it might have been November before I was like, oh yeah, I still need to book that hotel. And then I was like, oh, we still have a Marriott award. And so I got on there and I was like, oh my gosh, we're going to stay at the W. How about that? I will say it was expensive. I mean, it was free for us. It was about $500 a night, but the food there and the breakfast, I think the breakfast was like $50 a person. And
Ooh.
yeah, and that was
Yikes.
like the kids' price too. We did
Oh,
not
goodness.
we did not pay for it. We were leaving that day to go home anyway. So we went to the airport and ate in the Singapore lounge instead.
There you go.
um,
That's the play.
but an awesome swimming pool, a water slide. The kids loved it. Great fitness center. Like it was top notch. But yeah,
That's
my husband
amazing.
even said, he was like, if we had stayed here for the first part of our Singapore trip, he's like, we would have quickly gotten annoyed at how much we were paying for food around this area because it just was
Yeah.
way more. You didn't have like the more local stuff like where we were at the IHG hotel. So I'm glad we did it. We did it correctly. um,
That's a very good tip.
but yeah, so yeah, that was Sentosa Island. And I did want to talk about a little bit about on our way back from Sentosa Island, we stopped at what they call a hawker style food center.
Ooh.
And yeah, so Singapore has malls everywhere. And within these malls, they call them hawker style food centers, but it's more like a food hall or a food court, if you could envision something like that. And they are well known for having like affordable, diverse dishes. So there's actually a lot of like Chinese food in these halls and stuff,
Mm,
but the prices are great. It's like $5 to $10 US dollars per meal. So it's affordable.
amazing.
Yeah. The tricky thing though was, even though like the food was in English, like the titles of the entrees and stuff were in English, we still didn't quite know what it was.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, that was something that I did not expect, because I just had heard like Singapore has any kind of food you can imagine, and there certainly is that. You can go out and you can find a Mexican restaurant or an Italian restaurant or anything you want. But we had kept reading like, when you're there, you need to eat in the hawker style, like to get a true authentic Singapore meal, go to these hawker centers. And they were a little tricky. I will say, trickier than we expected. And we are a family that, we can be quite adventurous with eating. A lot of it was really, really spicy. And
Mm.
my little two cannot handle the spice. My 11-year-old can handle a little bit of it, but as long as there was like a dumpling place, he would usually just get dumplings. My husband and I had a couple really spicy dishes that like really lit us up. There was definitely one time that we ate at one of these, and I just gave the little ones protein bars because I just didn't feel like I could find anything for them. But
Okay.
yeah, but that was just a little surprising for us.
Was there a language barrier so you didn't really feel like you could ask what was in
No, I mean, it
something?
was all English, and like I said, the menu it was in English. It just still seemed very foreign. Like I don't exactly know what I'm going to get. And they use a lot of
Okay.
parts of the animals that we don't use here, so that
Mhm.
was a little
Mhm.
bit like, I don't know about that. um,
Yes. Yeah, I don't like to eat snouts or tongues
yeah,
or
yeah.
yeah,
So
I know. There are a lot it's very common everywhere but here it feels like, but
yeah.
I can't do it.
Now,
I get too
in
much of a
hindsight,
visual.
we probably should have done a little bit more research and had gone into it with this is what that is. Let's give it a try. We did much more of our
Mhm.
research for Thailand food than we did for Singapore. I guess we didn't expect it to be like that. But anyway, yeah,
It is good to know.
yeah,
I'm curious about getting around. So it sounds like you guys did a lot of exploring. Were you using public transportation? Is there something similar to Uber? Is it very easy to get around?
yeah.
Did you feel like you should have had a car?
No, you definitely do not need a car in Singapore. Public transportation was super easy. We use public transit everywhere we go if we can, if it's an option. The kids are
Love
very
that.
used to, trains and buses and stuff. So we did use public transportation on the days there. To and from the airport, we did what they call, it's like their Uber equivalent, but they use Grab, Grab.
Hmm.
Bolt is another one, Bolt. We used that in Thailand, but I think there was plenty of Grab options in Singapore, so we just used that for getting to and from the airport, just so we didn't have to lug our luggage and whatnot. But yeah, the public transportation was great. It is such a clean city. They do not let you eat or drink or smoke on any of the public transit, um, vehicles. And have you guys heard of durian?
No.
I don't think
So
so.
durian, my husband had learned about it before we went there, so it wasn't super surprising. But it's apparently a spiky, like Asian fruit, but it smells terrible. Like it smells like rotten eggs and sulfur, and it's just gross. It's apparently tastes very sweet, like custard, but you can't get past the smell to even try it. At least we couldn't. But you'll see signs everywhere, like going into the monorail or a bus or whatever, and it says no durian allowed. Like you can't even take this kind of fruit onto the onto the public transit
That is
systems. And a
so
lot of hotels ban
funny.
it too. You'll see signs in hotels saying no durian. So that was kind of funny.
Somebody must like to eat it.
The locals
It
do.
sounds like it would
The
taste good,
locals
but
do.
now did you find yourself in situations where you needed to have exchanged currency, or were you pretty much able to use your credit cards everywhere
Nope,
you
we
went?
used credit cards everywhere in Singapore. Never, we never got any kind of Singapore cash at all. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's my preference for sure. Because we have found ourselves in several situations where we should have had
Yeah.
cash and didn't. So it's so nice to just be able to tap and be able to earn good multipliers on everything you're
Yes.
doing.
Thailand is the opposite of that. You have to have cash for everything in Thailand. They don't really take cards at all.
Very good to know. Very good to do your research. I mean, I think a lot of people, if they're already going to be over there, will add other countries, nearby because it's a long way to go. You might as well experience it. So it is important in every single place to make sure you know what's happening with the currency, with the transportation, with the food, all of
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. But this really sounds like such a family friendly place to visit. And I love that you could do it for such a small amount of points at an IHG. Like, that's
Yeah.
incredible. Were there any apps that you found super helpful to help get around? And also, in terms of your phones, did you just buy data plans or did you use an
We used
eSIM?
my husband's work phone that has international on it. So he would just, I honestly
Oh, perfect.
really like to unplug on vacation. And that's part of my favorite part about traveling internationally is I never get any kind of plan because I don't want to be, I don't want anybody to be able to reach me.
Good for you.
So he'll hotspot me if I need my phone for something from his phone. But yeah, so we did not get an eSIM or anything only because we had that option. But as far as apps go, definitely get the Grab app if you want, an Uber like uh, transportation method. And then another app that I used for our arrival into Singapore, you have to fill out like a arrival card, and they ask you like about your health and stuff too. You have to do this 3 days before you arrive, or up to 3 days. The window opens 3 days before you arrive.
Mm,
So there's actually an app for that, which makes it super easy. It's called My ICA Mobile. Um, and I just downloaded it and then, put a little reminder on my phone 3 days before we left and filled it out. And you upload you scan the passports right into the app and fill out everybody's information, your flight information. You could do this for your whole family. Um, and you just submit it. So then when you land, you literally just have to go, you don't even have to like see anybody like in customs or anything. You just scan this app and your passport and you walk right on through. So yeah.
wow. That's
Yep.
amazing.
And
I
then the
love it.
only other app I would say I used a lot was like I just had like a currency converter app, so that
Mm.
and after a couple of days you kind of start to remember what you're paying for things, but that can be tricky when you first get there. Like, how much is this actually in US dollars? So I like that one.
Yes, for sure.
Well, thanks for sharing about your trip and for reaching out. You found us, you listened to the podcast, and so you reached out on our website and said you did, a great redemption and you wanted to share about it. So thanks for reaching out to us. Where are you guys headed next on Points and Miles?
Okay, so the kids have a school break in October. And so we have flights booked to Portugal. That has been on my list for a little bit. We've done a couple other we've done Spain and France and Greece, and Portugal was like kind of the next one I really wanted to do. So we're going to go to Porto and Lisbon, and then an island called Madeira, which I actually discovered from your Yahoo Travel newsletter.
Okay.
Yeah,
Awesome.
that was, I was heavily, I was looking at flights for Portugal and trying to narrow in on where all we were going to go. And then one day this article just popped up, and it was titled something like the Hawaii of Europe.
Yeah.
And it caught my attention, and I was like, oh, I wonder where this is. And I was like, oh, it's right off the coast of Portugal. And I was like, okay, yep. And I read a little bit about it, and I was like, okay, this is where we're going.
Yay.
So
I love that.
We're going to add that into the trip. So that's our next family trip with points. And then my husband and I actually we leave on Saturday. We're going to go to Mexico for a couple days.
Yay.
And then later this summer, we're going to do San Francisco for a couple of days with Points and Miles. So
amazing.
And next spring, you're going to come
For
to
our girls'
Hyatt
trip.
Regency with us.
I just heard about that. Yes, I've been meaning to run it by my husband and see what he thinks. I mean, I'm sure he would be like, yes, go do it. Yeah, your trip to New Mexico sounded amazing. I'm so glad because like you guys said, you don't hear about New Mexico very often. And yeah, definitely didn't have it on my radar, but now I do.
It was amazing. I want to take my family back. We're going back. I feel like it's like going to be a little bit of like a home base, like one of those places you just keep going back to. So we are very excited. Guys, if you don't know what we're talking about, if you've missed it all, I'll go ahead and put our interest form in the show notes. We are having a girls trip in April of next year, the 7th through the 10th. The way we envision it is you will book your own hotel and flights, hopefully on Points, and then we will be coordinating some group activities. More details to come on that.
We would absolutely love to see you in New Mexico next year. I think it's going to be a blast. We're going to have a special Facebook group where people can coordinate and maybe share rides from the airport or even get a roommate if they want one or not. So all that information can be found in the show notes. Also, if you have not signed up for the newsletter that Gretchen mentioned, our Yahoo Travel, it's called Why Wonder. We're going to put the link to that in the show notes. Do sign up. You get it to your inbox twice a week. It's not overwhelming, but it has a lot of fun information and cool article links for what's going on in the world of points and miles and travel for the week. So we hope that you'll sign up.
And make sure to check the show notes as well. We're going to put Gretchen's email address. She said that you guys, if you have questions about this trip, she would be happy to communicate with you guys and help you. So we're going to drop that down there and make sure that you check that out if you have questions about this incredible trip, or I guess probably Thailand as well. I'm sure you have so much to share there. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, you're welcome. And only because you just mentioned Thailand, I actually just wrote an article for the Boldly Go blog that's revolutionizing your journey about our whole trip. So I have all of Singapore information that we just talked about, and then everything we did in Thailand too that they're going to post up on their blog. So if you want more information for that, it'll be there.
Yeah, sure. Well, and see if we can get a link for that to put in the show notes as well. So you guys could just head straight to that. That's amazing. All right. Well, thank you again for being here. Guys, make sure you go find us all the places. You know where all the stuff is in the show notes. And we will see you here next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us for today's episode. We hope you learned something new and feel inspired to plan your next trip.
Remember, we're travelers sharing our experiences, not financial advisors, so always do your own research and make informed decisions.
If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to like, subscribe, and follow so you never miss a Points and Miles tip.
We'll see you next time on Wonderland on Points.